Yes, people, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, people. We're joined once again by man like Locks. If you guys remember, he joined us last time we done a preview up against Leicester. And listen, last time we had a preview, Locks was not confident going into that game. He predicted that would actually batter these guys. I remember I was actually at that game. We was a comfortable win for us, man. We beat you guys 2-1, but the goal you scored was a penalty. Like last minute, Lavia comes on, gives away a penalty. But if you actually watch that game, we were all over these guys. We scored some good goals. Jackson was on fire that day. Enzo Fernandez, João Felix. It was a very, very good performance from us. But first of all, Lux, what you say, man? How's it going?
Yeah, man, it's not going good on the football, of course. Everything else is all right, man. But yeah, it's kind of like I get probably Tuesday, Wednesday to forget about what happened on the weekend or what's coming up, and then Thursday, Friday, the football talk starts again, and it's just depressing, man. It's rough. It's rough.
No, 100%, man. I can imagine, bro. And listen, what's actually gone wrong for Leicester, man? Because obviously a few years ago you won the Prem. You were a stable team, like you played Champions League and whatnot. You had Maddison and Vardy in his prime and whatnot. You had Maresca last season who got you guys back up after being relegated. Brendan Rodgers that season when you got relegated, you were shocking, right?
Yeah.
Because you were one of the teams that actually gave us 3 points when we beat you lot away 3-1. If you remember that game, right?
Yeah.
It was a terrible season. But Maresca obviously is at Chelsea now. He came in, did really well. But you've kind of sort of regressed, bro. You've gone from was it who did you have at the start of the season? It was Cooper, innit? You had Cooper.
Cooper
was there for a little bit. That didn't work out. Now you've got obviously Rude, and he doesn't seem to be working out there. So what's actually gone wrong for you guys this season,
man? Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of fans' opinions have changed over the season on where it's all gone wrong, but I think it's quite clear now, and it's recruitment in the summer. That's quite clearly the problem. The Leicester board, they do back their manager in their first summer window. So we've always done it. After that, it kind of goes away a little bit. But in the first summer of a manager's reign, they do get backed. And unfortunately, we gave Steve Cooper £80 million to spend. And I won't be too. Well, I won't be too harsh. A couple of the signings were good. I mean, Bilal El Khanouch, for example, who you will 100% see this weekend, and even if we lose, you'll think of it. You'll see him and think he's a good player. But then some others.
The 10, yeah, he's a 10, right? The 10.
He's a 10. Yeah, he's a 10.
Yeah.
He's quality. He will not be playing in the Championship next season. I can guarantee that right now. He will not be in the Championship. He will be somewhere else. But I mean, let's list off a couple of the players that. I mean, Jordan Ayew. Right, it was only £8 million, but come on, Jordan Ayew in 2025, Bobby De Cordova-Reid as a free agent, Oliver Skipp for £25 million, Oliver Skipp, and then even a couple of the unknowns. I mean, Caleb Bacoli, he's a centre back from Atalanta. He was 15 million, and I suppose it was a bit of a risk, and it's turned out. I mean, he's definitely not the worst of our centre backs, but that's not saying anything. He's no good either, mate. So I think it's definitely recruitment, and it all comes down to this like talent ID, which people talk about. And Enzo Maresca, for example, last season in the Championship, in his summer window, he brought in Mads Hermansen, who I think will probably be a Chelsea player at some time soon, in my opinion. Mavididi, Abdul Fatawu, he brought in some real good players, and Steve Cooper, I mean, clearly he just doesn't have that same talent ID. He opted for experience mostly, and it's not paid off. We're just so slow, mate. I mean, Jordan Ayew and Bobby De Cordova-Reid are our like main wingers now. It's crazy.
It's honestly crazy, bro. And Cooper as well. Listen, he had a similar sort of issue with Forest as well, right? Because we actually loaned out Andre Santos. I don't know if you know much about him. He's on loan right now at Strasbourg, doing very well. But we loaned him out to Forest, and he literally came out and said he's not playing this guy because he's not one of our players, right? He's not signed permanently. And I'm looking at experience at the minute. And that's where I was confused when you guys obviously you didn't get rid of Maresca, he left, but you went and replaced him with Cooper. It's like, it's not a positive move. You're going away from nice progressive football, possession style football, to dinosaur stuff. You know what I mean? I know Maresca's got his faults. I know a lot of Leicester fans last season complained about him not really changing much and, you know, being quite stubborn and whatnot. But he was better than what you've got right now, man. He was able to use your team a lot better than what Cooper's been doing. You know what I mean? What Cooper was doing even.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, you know, it's hard to say exactly because it was the championship and we had a god squad for the championship, man. It was unreal. You know, even now, if you took this current Leicester team, which by the way is worse than last season, right? It's worse now. But if you put this current Leicester squad in the championship, I'd expect it to get promoted, you know, to win the league or something like that. So it's, you know, you don't know how we would have done under Enzo Maresca in the Premier League. I mean, you know, you look at Vincent Kompany, right, for Burnley, playing a certain way. Russell Martin for Southampton, playing a certain way of playing, and it didn't work out. So it could well have gone the same way. But what I would say is Enzo Maresca would not have signed Oliver Skipp. He wouldn't have signed Jordan Ayew, and he wouldn't have signed Bobby De Cordova-Reid. So 100%. You know, he would have opted for, you know, probably more of the quick, dynamic winger option, really, compared to them two. So yeah, I honestly, mate, it comes down to recruitment. Enzo Maresca, of course, he's a better manager than Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's a better manager than Steve Cooper. We all believe that, but we're not certain we would have stayed up with him because. The gap, mate, is unreal between the Premier League and the Championship now. It's just different class.
Yeah, 100%. And just on Maresca as well, bro. Like, obviously, you know, start of the season, Chelsea were flying. When we came to you guys, you know, you said no chance that we lose that game. We're going to batter you guys. But recently, the second half of the season, you know, we've been on bad form. A lot of that has been multiple factors, bro. We've had, you know, key players out injured again. We've had the same issues last season in terms of not being clinical in front of goal, even though it was creating, right? And then we've dropped off tactically as well. I think Maresca hasn't been using the squad much, hence why you've seen the likes of Vega and Felix leave because they weren't happy. And he's been kind of focusing on a little core. And during games, the in-game management for me hasn't been great in the second half of the season, to be honest with you. So what have you thought about his time so far at Chelsea, like now that you've actually seen a little bit more?
Well, everything you just said sounds very much like Leicester City last season, mate. I mean, we dropped off. You know, we thought we were gonna win win the championship with the points record of 106 points or 107 points. We thought we were gonna do that. We were beating everybody every week, you know, and we were unbelievable to watch. And then from February onwards. We capitulated. It, you know, at one point it looked like we weren't going to get promoted. I mean, we were dropping points to like West Brom, Millwall, Plymouth, like we were losing games. And we were like, what is going on? And again, like you just said, he focused on a core of players, mainly just the same starting 11 every single week, even though there were players available to him to use. I mean, you know, Yunus Akgün, right? Who's now he's having a great season. He was on loan at Leicester last season in the Championship, and Enzo Maresca didn't want to touch him. He didn't want to touch him. So he didn't change anything. You know, in-game management, it was just the same thing for 90 minutes, and then if you lose, you lose. Yeah. And it sounds like something similar is happening at Chelsea. But if we are going off last season, you can then look at that they did turn it back around. You know, things started clicking again, and we had a good end to the season. So and ended up winning the league. So I think he will turn it around. I think the players will turn it around. Apparently, last season with Leicester, it took an intervention from Jamie Vardy. He called a players' meeting and said, "What we're doing, lads?" Like giving them basically a kick up the arse, saying this ain't good enough, and you know, things change. So, look, I think. At one point, mate, you know, a lot of Leicester fans who were big admirers of Enzo Maresca said, "God, Chelsea might actually win the league here. Like they could win it with Enzo Maresca in his first season." And obviously, it's not played out that way. But look, for me, he's an elite coach. He's an elite coach. Every single player adored him at Leicester City. They absolutely loved the way he did things, the way he coached them. The drills, all of that every single day. They've been very vocal, and that's probably part of the reason why Steve Cooper never worked out for Leicester, because the players just didn't. After having Enzo as their manager for a year, and suddenly you've got Steve Cooper coming in, they were like, "We're not having this." So he's an elite coach, mate. He will win the Premier League. When that is, I don't know. He will win the Premier League. I think he'll win the Champions League. Whether again, when that is or whether it's with Chelsea, I don't know, but it will happen because he's an incredible coach.
And that's the thing about him. Like, start of the season, he started off so well, bro. Like, he was making changes, really quickly. He was being quite proactive. He was reacting to certain situations when he needed to. But ultimately, that was when he had, his fully fit squad. Because remember, the start of the season, and even rivals would say like, "Oh, Chelsea's bench. These guys can bring Neto off the bench. They can bring in Cuckoo off the bench. Even Enzo Fernandez was on the bench at one point, right?" So for me, it hasn't been a coincidence that since we've lost the likes of Lavia and Fofana, there's others in the squad that he hasn't trusted as much, right? And that's not me giving him an excuse, because if it's up to me, I'll just play those guys. They're there for a reason, right? There was a game against Fulham where he didn't use the bench much. He brought in Cuckoo with like 5 minutes to go, and the Fulham manager, he brought on about 3-4 subs. Muniz ended up scoring the winning goal for them, and he came off the bench, bringing on Harry Wilson. And you've got your players running about tired. So listen, for me, I like what I've seen in the first half, but second half, there's so many things where I'm like, yo, you need to fix up. And these are things that I'm looking at him and I'm like, yo, you're better than this. You know what I mean? Similar sort of thing as Dewsbury-Hall, because he's getting cooked at the minute, Locks, right? This is a player that literally was your best player last year, 26 GA. You used to see him picking up the ball in the half space on the left, driving at people, trying to make things happen, trying to create, trying to shoot. But at Chelsea, it honestly feels like he reads a lot of the things that he sees, that we see online, right? Because he's been getting, oh, this guy's not better than Gallagher. This guy's useless. What does he do, right? And listen, I've played at a decent level. I know when a guy is not confident because he gets the ball and he's just playing it safe. And I'm like, this is a complete contrast to the player I've seen at Leicester. This was their driving force, right? So yeah. What's your thoughts on Dewsbury-Hall's time as well, man? Because we didn't need this guy, but he is better than what he's showing right now. I'll be honest, man.
Look, mate. I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't think it would work at Chelsea for him. I didn't quite think it would be like as disastrous as like Danny Drinkwater, for example, because he's a better he's more committed. He's smarter. He's more motivated than Danny Drinkwater was. But this is a guy who he broke into the first team at Leicester in the Premier League under Brendan Rodgers. He had a great first season. I think he was on loan at Luton in the Championship. Then he came back to Leicester and played a full season in the Premier League. That was his best year besides the Championship season. So that was his best year in the Premier League. And then after that, mate, when Leicester were going through a tough time, he did struggle. And I think you're right, it is confidence. When you see him dropping down to the Championship, James Maddison gone, Yuri Tielemans gone. Suddenly, this guy is the main man at Leicester City, and that gave him so much confidence. Enzo Maresca was working with him from day one, minute one, saying, "This is what I want, mate. I want you to be a box crasher. I want you to drive that ball. I want you to drive the team forward." And he did that, and it was all confidence. But going to Chelsea, mate, I don't think he's a player that should be playing for a big six club. I genuinely, honestly, mate, I don't think he's that good. I mean, I saw something the other day in an article saying that he didn't want to leave for a sideways step. And he would only have left Leicester for a big six club. And I think at one point he did turn down Brighton as well.
He did. And he literally took him out of the medical room, bro.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So I think at Brighton, it would have been a better move for him. But I don't think he'll ever be that guy, at Chelsea, mate. I think he will leave probably this summer, to be honest with you. I mean, I know there were rumors of him leaving. And what I will say, mate, look, I don't know anything. I don't know any inside information. I don't want to speculate too much, but I feel like it could have been a little bit of a favor because Leicester needed to bring money in for FFP, and we did that weird deal switch with Dewsbury-Hall and Michael Golding. 30 million for Dewsbury-Hall plus Michael Golding or something like that. And I don't know kind of if that played a part, but he's a good player for probably. He's a really good bottom half Premier League player, but top half, I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think in the top half, to be fair to him, I think he's more of a squad player. I don't see him being as your sort of mainstay because I don't think he's at that level. But for me, honestly, this guy is better than what he's shown, man. Like I see him at times and I'm like, yo, just run with the ball. Like, why are you just static? You just get it and you're just like, oh, let me just give it away, right? And that goes to show me that he doesn't want to take risks because he's scared at all the abuse he's been getting. He doesn't want to get abused, basically. That's what it is for me, because he's better than what I'm seeing, bro.
And when he was at Leicester, he was very vocal with that kind of stuff on social media. Like he would quite often, I mean, Coventry City thought they had a rivalry with us last season. I don't know why they finished like 25 points behind us or something, but they were popping at Dewsbury-Hall and he would respond. So he's definitely very, he knows what's going on online and he's seeing it for sure. He did all the stuff as well with Rutter from Leeds United. He was popping off at them. So I think you're probably right. That does kill a player's confidence, and you want them to avoid that. But I mean, mate, as well as I do, it's difficult, mate. Yeah, it's difficult, man.
We're all human, man. And obviously, like, because there's a lot of fans within the fan base, obviously, that hated the whole Gallagher situation. They used to treat this guy like a god, and ultimately he came in to replace Gallagher. And I'll be honest, he hasn't done anything near what Gallagher's done. But to be honest with you, right, we didn't need this guy. Like, even back in the summer, as much as I rated him in isolation, like when I was watching the games back of Leicester, seeing what he was doing, he was definitely a driving force, definitely one of your better players, right? But I did say at the time, we don't need this guy. I'd rather give the minutes to Carney Chukwuemeka. I'd rather give the minutes to Santos. Why are we stockpiling and bringing in another attacking midfielder when that's the least of our worries, right? And what's been really weird is Maresca used him last season, his best player, and then here at Chelsea, he doesn't even make certain squads in the Prem. You know what I mean? There's certain times where he's not even playing. You just see the guy in the Conference League and he's putting out average performances. I think there's only been probably say 2 games. Like, he played against Bournemouth. Enzo Fernandez didn't start. He played well in that game, to be fair. He got an assist as well for Corella. I think that was against Bournemouth. But other than that, like, there's not been many examples where he's been good, man.
I mean, you're comparing him to imagine picking up Conor Gallagher and dropping him in the Championship. Like, imagine, the what he would do in that league. So, it's Championship tax at the end of the day. I think he's in the deep end now and he's struggling a little bit, and he probably does need to come away and go somewhere else. I'm sure Enzo Maresca played a part in him going. Of course, it's like in the real life, right? Like, if you've got a manager, in your 9-to-5 job, and that manager, you've got a good relationship with them, they go elsewhere and they ask you to come, man, you're going to want to go. It pays better. The pay's better. And your manager that you love's there. So I think that obviously played a big part, but it was the wrong move. It was the wrong move for Chelsea. It was the wrong move for Dewsbury-Hall. And I think even I saw an interview where Enzo Maresca said, in his first few weeks, Duke Kiernan he was the main man at Leicester, and he's not going to be that guy here. So he needs to adapt, and I don't think he's adapting well to that.
100%, bro. But how are you feeling going into this game? Obviously, like I said, Chelsea aren't in the best form at the minute. I know we've just beaten Southampton. It's looking very likely that you guys are going to get relegated. And looking at our record, the past 5 games, we've won 4 of them, drawn 1, and we've lost 0. You know what I'm saying? So we've actually got a good record against Leicester. But how are you feeling going into the game, man? Do you think you can get something out of this?
No, absolutely not, bro. No chance. Yeah, man, we're terrible. I mean, we are truly terrible. One of the worst Premier League teams of all time, mate. Genuinely, I mean that. It's shocking. You mentioned the last few games that we played against you. We obviously had that FA Cup game last season, right? When we had Enzo Maresca, that's probably the first time your owners looked at Enzo and thought, "Oh, hello," and kept an eye on him. So
Sterling had a shocking game. You remember Sterling's game? Oh,
terrible! He got booed off the pitch. Off the pitch, man.
He was shocking in that game. I remember Mavididi scored that good goal as well on the left.
Yes, and there was that incident with was it Disasi, the own goal?
Oh yeah, Disasi's own goal. That game, Dewsbury-Hall again. See what I'm saying? Dewsbury-Hall in that game was fucking brilliant. He was brilliant against us. I remember that game. He was cooking in the midfield, and that's when people used to like have this agenda about Caicedo and Enzo and that, and they're like, "Oh my god, this Dewsbury-Hall guy's all over them." You see how things change. You see how things change, Locks, in football.
It's crazy. It really is. I think look, I expect. I mean, the last time we played you was obviously at home at the King Power, and that game saw Steve Cooper getting sacked. Right? I think he got sacked. Right? Which is it's crazy, by the way, isn't it? Because why would you sack him after? And it was the first game after an international break. This is why we were so confused, because we had 2 weeks international break, didn't sack him, and then Chelsea show up and beat us 2-1. And then you sack it. It made no sense. Apparently, what happened was all the players kicked off after the game, and they had a bit of a fallout with the manager. So
talk us through your setup then. Like, talk us through your setup. Let me just bring the
let's do it.
The lineup that you've gone with here. All right, so this is the lineup that you've gone with. Talk us through, you know, how you're expecting you guys to play, and who's your sort of key player to look out for here.
Yeah, so I think the back four and the two midfielders there, that and El Canoes are givens. I think that they are 100% who will start. The problem comes with the wingers, mate, because like I said earlier on, Ruud van Nistelrooy for some reason has been like adamant on starting Jordan Ayew and Bobby De Cordova-Reid like throughout much of his time here at Leicester so far, and we don't really understand it. You know, we think we need a bit of pace in the team, because when we do win the ball, mate, we're so slow getting forward. By the time we're there, you know, you're back in, you've reset basically, and then we struggle to break teams down. So I think he tried Facundo Buonanotte out on the right in the last game, didn't work out. So I think he'll then try Mavididi on the left this time, because he doesn't want to play both of them. And the reason for it, mate, is because Bobby Reid and Jordan Ayew, work rate, tracking back, all of that kind of side of the game, the defensive side of the game, it's superior to Steffi Mavididi and Facundo Buonanotte. So what he tried to do is, for so long, is just basically tighten us up. You know, try to see out a game, try to stay 0-0 for as long as possible. The problem with that is we can't score, we can't create, and in the last few games we've been getting battered anyway. So I mean, we lost 4-0 to Everton, which is just ridiculous. So I think he will now opt for more of an attacking lineup. I don't think he'll go all in on exciting wingers. I think he will keep Bobby Reid in there, but go with Mavididi on the left, because I mean, he knows Enzo. He obviously scored last season, a great goal against the Cup. I think he scored the penalty as well, right, against you guys earlier this season. So
he did.
Yeah, so I think that's what we'll go with. How we tend to play, mate, is the right back, James Justin. He tends to get really high up the pitch. It's very similar to how we played under Cooper. Not much has changed at all. And I think that's what we've been doing, and that's what we'll probably continue to do for the time being. That back three, that, you know, the Christensen, Okoli, Fast, that becomes a back three really, and then Justin gets higher up the pitch. It's actually similar to what Enzo did last season, but Enzo would invert the fullback obviously into midfield. Whereas for us this season, it's been operating as a right winger. The interesting thing, though, mate, is Ricardo Pereira is back this weekend.
Okay.
After a 4-month injury, and he was Enzo Maresca's inverted fullback, or inverted wing back, should I say, coming into midfield, and it will be and Cooper did the same. Steve Cooper did the exact same thing. And I know Ruud van Nistelrooy has history of using an inverted wing back. So if Ricardo Pereira did start the game, it would be interesting to see if he does go with that. We've not seen it in months. And then
pushing Didi up, basically. When Ricardo, inverts, cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But again, he's only just back from a 4-month injury, hamstring injury. He probably won't start. So what I just said probably won't happen yet. But and against Chelsea, do you want to try and do that against Chelsea? Probably not. You know, maybe in one of the future games we'll try that. But if we get desperate, but yeah, I think this is what we will see on Sunday, mate.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. I mean, listen, looking at that back line, we should be scoring against that back line, man. Obviously, we'll go through my lineup in a second. But honestly, this Fires guy, he's one of the worst centre backs I've seen in the Prem. He is shocking. Horrendous,
mate. I mean, he is. Yeah, bang on, mate. The only reason I've put him in this team is because he's just quicker. I mean, the alternative is Yannick Vestergaard. I mean, you said you look back over the last time we played you. Obviously, what he did was it Jackson's goal? I think it was him and Jackson that were having a little bit of a tussle. And Fast completely mucked it up.
It was Fars and Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. So this is what happens with this guy, man. He's brain dead. He's brain dead most of the time. He's also an arrogant like arsehole, mate. Genuinely, he's really, really, really not got the best of mentalities. He's always waving his arms up at everybody around him. Never looks at himself. He could go down as one of the worst Premier League centre backs ever, man. He's that bad. And the maddest part is Brendan Rodgers brought him in to be a future captain of Leicester. And yeah, he's never going to be that, mate. So this is what I'm saying. Our whole defense is in the mud, and he's just the best of a bad bunch.
Bad bunch, yeah, 100%. I agree, man. But this is a lineup that I've gone with. To be honest with you, I'm not certain on this because we've got some players coming back. Obviously, we played last night as well. I know we play on a Sunday, so I don't know if Reece is going to start in the game. He played 90 minutes on Thursday, and we know this guy's body breaks down every 2 seconds. Gusto came off injured as well, so that's a bit of a predicament there. He might start. What I've got a feeling he might do is probably start Chalobah at right back, and then have us build up in the 3 with Cucurella inverting, and then Enzo goes further up. So I'll show you what the shape might look like on the ball, but ultimately off the ball, this is what we're going to be looking like. So Jorgensen, obviously in goal, Reece potentially. I think Tosin and Cole will probably be the pairing. Fofana's back now, but again, I don't know if he's going to get like I don't know if he's going to start. He didn't start against Southampton. He didn't play last night.
Thanks for the 80 million, by the way. Thanks
Say that again, bro.
Thanks for the 80 million for Fofana, man.
Listen, Todd Bowley, man. That was Todd Bowley tax, man. I would have never paid for him. As much as I like him, he's too injury prone. Honestly, he just came back with a bad injury as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I saw like he's played like 25 games in 3 years or something crazy like that, man. It's
20% of our games in all comps in 3 years. That's how many games he's played. So it's a problem, man, because with Fofana, we play a lot better. We can play that high line. It allows Caicedo to feel a little bit freer there because he doesn't feel like he's got a bum behind him. Especially with Fofana and Lavia, we can press and counter press from the front. That's how Maresca wants to play. But when Fofana's not there, we lose that defender that can, is comfortable in the wide areas, that defender that can just deal with attackers one-on-one. We don't really have that in Cole and Tosin as well. We don't really have that in him. So yeah, he's a massive miss, man. And that's why for me in the summer, we need to make sure that we don't think about him being in the 11 because we just can't depend on it. Do you know what I mean? We need to upgrade on him and hopefully he'll start to just, fix up a little bit. You know what I mean?
It's actually a bit sad, by the way, mate, because no word of a lie. I think Wesley Fofana is the best centre-back I've ever seen at Leicester.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah. The best centre-back I've ever seen at Leicester. In those first 2 injury-free seasons. Actually, no, I think it was even only once. Yeah, it was one. That first season he was at Leicester, mate. The best centre-back I have ever seen at Leicester. He was absolutely incredible. Obviously, we played, was it Sevilla or Valencia? One of the 2 in pre-season. Leg broken, and since then, mate, obviously it's been downhill for him. So I can't believe we managed to get 80 million pounds for him, like a year after a broken leg, but we did. It's sad to see, man, honestly, because I remember saying on a YouTube video 3 years ago, he's going to be like on the Van Dijk level in 10 years, and it won't happen now. It won't
100%, man. He's a good player. The only thing that's going to save him is his fitness. Because even now, like when he comes back, he hasn't lost his pace, Locks. That's the crazy part. Like, I go to a lot of games and I watch him in person, and I'm scared when he's running because his knees actually invert. Yeah, this is what his knees look like. They invert together like that.
Yeah,
but
man.
In terms of the recovery pace, very, very quick, bro. And he was building that confidence once again when he came back. People were expecting him to be the same for Fofana, and I'm like, bro, if you've played football, it's as much as it's a physical block, right? It's a mental block as well. You want to think about, if I run a certain way, I'm going to hurt myself. If I kick the ball a certain way, I'm going to hurt myself. You have to start to trust your body and get more confidence. And before he got injured, he put out one of the best performances against Arsenal, bro, this season. You know what I mean? So he's definitely one that could start, but again, we'll see. And then Enzo and Caicedo in the midfield. Obviously, Palmer in the 10 has not been on good form recently. Been getting cooked by a lot of people, obviously, on Twitter at the minute. And he should even have more assists, man, because people keep missing his chances he keeps creating. But I need a big game from him because he's on a drought at the minute. Sancho right wing, I've gone with him right wing because I think it's better on the right, in all honesty, man. And right now, Madueke is not fit as well. He's injured. We could have started George there, but I don't think George will start the game because he played yesterday, 90 minutes there. And then Nkuku will probably start on the left. He's looked all right in the past 2-3 games, I would say. And then Neto up top, who's been very, very good, actually. I don't know if you've caught much of our games.
Yeah, I've not seen. I was curious. I haven't seen too much of him, mate. But so I was curious on how he was getting on.
Yeah, no, he's been very good up there, man. Because the issue that you've got when you're playing Nkuku up top, usually he doesn't press from the front. He doesn't like to run in behind. He makes it very easy for the centre backs. Like he'll make Fars look like Fofana in his prime. Do you know what I mean? So Neto gives the centre back something to think about because he never stays in one position. Like you'll see him consistently moving. He's a good ball striker of the ball as well. Like since he's been playing up top, he's got 2 assists. He's got 2 assists and a goal. So he's got 3 GA during that time, which is unheard of for Neto because usually the guy don't really leave with anything. You know what I'm trying to say? So he's been very good for us. He'll be key in this game. But if I show you what the shape will look like off the ball, on the ball even, this is probably what it's going to look like. Something like this, right? So let's get it up here. Okay. Yeah, so you can see here, it'll probably be like a back three like this. Obviously, if Reece doesn't start the game and it's Chalobah, probably be Chalobah there. And then you've got Cucurella, who's been inverting into the midfield with Caicedo. Sometimes you even see Cucurella flying all the way up here where Enzo is. You know what I'm saying? He's everywhere. Honestly, he's one of our most important players, man. Chelsea fans love this guy now. You know what I'm saying? And at the beginning, when he first joined, he was getting booed. He was getting booed off the pitch, you know? But yeah, you're seeing here 2 8s, obviously double 8s, double 10s, if you want to call it that. Nkuku likes to come into the midfield as well, inverting. But that's probably what the shape will look like when we're on the ball, man. Because I think he'll give us a lot of the ball.
It looks very familiar, mate. Yeah, this is obviously exactly what we did last season. In the Championship, we were inverting from the right hand side, so it would be Ricardo Pereira right back, who would then come into the midfield. Everyone would shift across. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Wilfred Ndidi as those double 8s, and then yeah, mate. Look, I think a lot of Leicester fans kind of know what we're going to get from Chelsea, you know, this weekend, and you know, you showed me the in possession and out of possession shape. It will be the in possession shape that we'll see most of. I think you're bang on. You know, we'll let you have it, and we'll see what we can do from there. There's been a couple games this season where we have gone to a big team and actually dominated the ball. I mean, we did it to Man City, but granted, that was during their rough period, their tough, you know, when they were losing. So we also did it against some better teams like Brighton and Bournemouth. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think you will dominate the ball, and to be honest, mate, we're so toothless in attack. When we do win it back, I don't think we'll really do much with it. So I think you'll be all good, mate. Honestly.
Yeah. No, hopefully, man. In terms of prediction, Locks, what are you saying, man?
What do I go with this time? I'm gonna say I don't think it will be a battering. But I'm gonna say by statistics probably it will be. But scoreline, I'm probably gonna go with I'll go 2-0, mate. 2-0 to Chelsea. Yeah, I can't see us scoring at the moment. I can't see it.
Boy, I just don't trust these guys defensively, man, to keep clean sheets. I think we've only kept 5 clean sheets all season, regardless of who it is. We lost to fucking Ipswich. And then, yesterday as well, we had a poor first half. I'll probably say 3-1 Chels for this one. I think we're going to score a couple goals, only because of how poor you are defensively. I mean, you let Marino fucking come off the bench and score 2 goals against you. You know, so I'm expecting Neto to do something up there, man. So yeah, I'll say 3-1 Chels. And we need it. We need it, man, because after that, we've got Arsenal, international break after that. We'll have a few more players coming back. Lavia's not going to be fit to play in this game. But one to look out for, Tyreek George. You know, he's been quite good off the bench at the minute. So I don't think he'll start. But if you see him come off the bench, he's someone that I want to see getting more minutes. Very direct. You know, he likes to run at people. He's got 2 assists in his past 2 games as well. So yeah, he's one to look out for if he comes off the bench, man.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I get what you're saying about you don't trust them defensively, mate. But Leicester City have scored 6 goals since December the 3rd or something like that. 6 goals in the league. We've not. I know this is away, but we've not scored a goal at home since December or the 1st of December. Not a single goal. Our last goal was on the 26th of January, where we scored 2 against Spurs, but that's Spurs, you know what I mean? So we're not doing anything at the moment, mate. We've got 38-year-old Jamie Vardy up front. That's who we're putting our hopes on to score goals, which, you know, I'm sure he'll score a couple more between now and the end of the season, but you can't rely on a 38-year-old. So honestly, mate, that's why I've gone with 2-0. But you never know. Like I said, could be anything. Could be a dodgy penalty. Could be bounce off someone's arse or something like that. You know, you just never know.
100%, man. But listen, people, make sure that you're subscribing to Locks at Blue Tinted Glasses. He will definitely be, well, next season, obviously, you're getting relegated. So I'm not going to see you on the channel for a while. But yeah, if I start to create more of the content around that, then I'll definitely have you back on, bro, because you know your stuff. But yeah, love for hopping on, Locks, man. Enjoyed that. I enjoyed that chat, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely buzzing. Yeah, thanks for having me on again, mate. You know, we could have another FA Cup game next season or Carabao Cup, something like that. So maybe I'll see you then, mate. Yeah.
We could, man. We could. But listen, Chels, we fucking must. You hear what he's telling us, bro? Yeah? No goals since January. You haven't scored a single goal since Jan. In a bit, people. Love.